Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the bustling city as I drove to the hotel where my wife, Samantha, was supposedly attending a crucial business conference. I had always trusted her during these trips, often brushing off the whispers of jealousy that occasionally flared up. She was ambitious, driven, and had worked hard to climb the corporate ladder. But that day, I felt an insatiable urge to surprise her. As I approached the hotel, a sense of anticipation coursed through my veins. I imagined her reaction when I walked through the door, her surprise morphing into delight at the sight of me. I parked my car, adjusted my shirt, and stepped into the lobby. The smell of fresh coffee mingled with the chatter of guests and the soft hum of the elevator. My heart raced with excitement as I made my way to her floor. Reaching her room, I paused for a moment, the sounds of laughter filtering through the door. I smiled, imagining she was just having a good time with her colleagues. With a gentle knock, I waited for her to answer. When there was no response, I decided to let myself in. The door creaked open, and the scene that unfolded before me shattered the world I thought I knew. There she was, my wife, half naked and entangled with another man in the dim light of the room. My heart dropped into my stomach as the reality of the situation set in. Samantha was on her knees, pleasuring him, her back arching in a way I had only seen during our most intimate moments. "What the hell?" I gasped, my voice barely above a whisper, but the shock reverberated through the room. They both froze, the surprise plastered on their faces. Samantha's eyes widened in horror as she scrambled to cover herself, her cheeks flushing a deep crimson. The man, his expression shifting from shock to smug satisfaction, slowly pulled up his pants, clearly unfazed by the intrusion. "Jack, I didn't expect you," Samantha stammered, her words tumbling over one another as she hurriedly grabbed a hotel towel to shield herself. "Clearly," I replied, my voice steadied despite the chaos raging inside me. I felt like I was floating outside my body, watching this betrayal unfold in real time. "I guess the business trip is more than just work." "Huh?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. I could feel the anger boiling beneath my skin, a tempest of emotions swirling in my chest. My mind raced as I processed what I had just witnessed. This was no mere mistake. This was a deliberate act of betrayal. "Jack, please," she finally managed, her eyes pleading as she stepped forward, but I took a step back, the distance between us growing. I couldn't bear to touch her, to acknowledge the life we had built together. "Please what, Samantha? What could you possibly say to justify this?" My heart ached, but my voice remained cold, cutting through the tension like a knife. "I can explain. It's not what it looks like," she pleaded, her desperation evident as she glanced back at the man, who was now fully dressed and leaning casually against the wall, a smirk playing on his lips. "Not what it looks like," I scoffed, feeling rage ignite within me. "You're right, it's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it is, my wife, cheating on me." In that moment, something inside me snapped. The trust, the love, the memories we had shared crumbled like dust in the wind. I turned on my heel, exiting the room, leaving behind the chaos and betrayal. As I made my way down the hall, my heart pounded in my chest. I needed to think, to plan. I couldn't let her get away with this. This wasn't just about the infidelity. It was about the lies, the deception that had seeped into every corner of our relationship. Over the next few days, the shock morphed into a cold, hard resolve. I mapped out my revenge, each detail meticulously planned. I would ruin her life, make her feel the betrayal that had pierced my heart. Divorce wasn't just an option, it was the only path forward. I sought legal advice, strategizing the best way to dismantle the life she had so carelessly destroyed. Every interaction with her felt like a game, a dance of pretense as I hid my true intentions behind a facade of normalcy. Each day, I felt the thrill of the impending revenge build within me. The moment for retribution was approaching, and I couldn't wait to see the shock on her face when the truth unraveled. Samantha had chosen this path, and now she would have to face the consequences of her actions. With determination coursing through my veins, I prepared for the inevitable confrontation, ready to shatter her world just as she had shattered mine. I had trusted her, but now that trust lay in ruins, and I was ready to reclaim my life, one vengeful step at a time. The following days blur into a haze of anger and betrayal. I walk around the apartment, each piece of furniture a reminder of the life we once shared. The smell of her perfume still lingers, taunting me, igniting the rage simmering just beneath the surface. Every time I pass her favorite spot on the couch, I feel the urge to destroy something, anything, to reclaim the control she stripped from me. I sit at my desk, staring at the divorce paperwork, the pen trembling in my hand. I can already hear her voice pleading with me, but this time, it won't work. This time, I won't be swayed by her tears or her hollow promises. She made her choice, and now I have to make mine. I pick up my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find Michael's name. He's a friend who knows the ins and outs of our social circle. He's a good guy, always ready to lend a hand. I need him now, someone to confide in and strategize with. I hit call, and after a few rings he picks up. "Hey Jack, what's up?" His voice is warm, and it momentarily calms my racing heart. "Michael, can we meet? I need to talk," I reply, my voice betraying the weight of my emotions. "Sure, man. How about that cafe downtown?" "I'll be there in 20, he says, and I can hear the concern creeping into his tone. I grab my jacket and head out the door, determined to get my plan in motion. The cafe is bustling, the smell of coffee and pastries filling the air. I find a corner table, my foot tapping anxiously against the floor as I wait for Michael. When he arrives, he immediately senses the tension. "What's going on, Jack? You look like you've seen a ghost," he says, sitting down across from me. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "The Samantha," I start, but the words feel heavy on my tongue. "I caught her cheating." Michael's eyes widen in shock, and he leans forward. "What? Are you serious?" I nod, and the dam breaks as I recount the events of that day, the disbelief etched on my face as I describe the scene I stumbled upon. I was supposed to surprise her, Michael. I trusted her. And then I find her with some guy. It's unreal. "I'm so sorry, man. That's brutal," he says, shaking his head in disbelief. "What are you planning to do? Divorce her?" I reply, my voice steadying with resolve. "But I want to make it hurt. I need her to feel the betrayal like I do. I can't just walk away and let her get away with this." Michael leans back, crossing his arms as he considers my words. "You're thinking about revenge?" "Yes. I want to ruin her life just like she ruined mine," I admit, the anger bubbling to the surface again. "All right, I can help with that. What's your plan?" he asks, a spark of intrigue lighting up his eyes. "I'm gathering evidence, something that will hit her hard when we go through the divorce. I need to make sure she loses everything," I explain, a chill running down my spine at the thought. "I'll get my hands on her texts, emails, anything that can prove she was cheating." Michael nods, clearly on board. "I can help you with that. We can get into her social media accounts and find anything that could be useful. I know a few tricks," he says, a hint of mischief in his tone. "Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But we need to be careful. I don't want her to suspect anything," I caution, the tension in my shoulders easing slightly. As we discuss strategies, I feel a rush of adrenaline. The plan begins to take shape, and I can almost taste the sweet satisfaction of revenge. I lean forward, lowering my voice. I want her to feel isolated, cut off from her friends, her support system. I want her to see what it feels like to be betrayed. Michael raises an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. "You really mean it, don't you? This isn't just about the divorce for you. This is personal." "Of course it is," I reply, anger lacing my words. "I've trusted her for so long. I want her to understand the gravity of her actions." We spend the next hour plotting, every detail painstakingly considered. We discuss how to gather the evidence discreetly, how to infiltrate her social circles without raising suspicion. The plan becomes a blueprint for my revenge, and with each passing minute, my resolve strengthens. As I leave the cafe, the weight of my anger feels a little lighter. The plan is set in motion, and I know that with Michael's help, I can make this work. I want Samantha to realize that her choices have consequences, and I'll stop at nothing to see her life crumble. Later that night, I sit on the couch, staring at the wall, contemplating my next move. The silence is deafening, punctuated only by the ticking of the clock. I imagine her life unraveling, each thread pulling away until all that's left is a tangled mess of despair. I can almost see her face, the confusion, the heartbreak, as she realizes the gravity of what she's lost. But for now, I need to focus on the details. I want to make sure my revenge is executed perfectly, with precision that leaves no room for error. Tomorrow, I'll start gathering evidence. I'll be the storm in her life, the force that brings her world crashing down. And as I lay down to sleep, a twisted sense of satisfaction washes over me. The path ahead is dark and filled with uncertainty, but one thing is clear. I won't rest until she feels every ounce of betrayal I've felt. The sun rises, casting a pale light through the blinds as I prepare for the day. A mix of anxiety and anticipation coils in my stomach. Today is the day I start putting my plan into action. I can't let another moment slip by without getting the evidence I need to make Samantha pay for her betrayal. I grab my phone, scanning my contacts until I find Michael's name. I need him with me for this. He knows the plan, and having him by my side will make things easier. I shoot him a quick text, ready to start the mission. Within minutes, my phone buzzes. Let's do this. Meet me at the cafe in half an hour. I nod to myself, a rush of adrenaline surging through me. I can already feel the pieces falling into place. After a quick shower and a change of clothes, I grab my jacket and head out the door. The cafe buzzes with morning energy, patrons chatting over steaming cups of coffee. I spot Michael at our usual table, his expression serious as he taps away on his laptop. I slide into the seat across from him. Ready, he asks, a hint of excitement in his eyes. Absolutely. What's our first step? I reply, leaning forward, my heart racing. First, we need to get into her social media accounts. I've been doing some digging and found out she has her passwords saved on her laptop. He explains, a determined glint in his eyes. We can log in and see if there's anything incriminating. Good thinking. I'll get into the apartment while she's at work. Just a quick in and out, I say, my mind racing with possibilities. Then we can figure out our next move from there. Michael nods, a smile creeping across his face. You're really going for it. I admire your determination, man. I chuckle, the tension easing slightly, just trying to level the playing field. As we finish our coffee, I outline my plan to Michael. I'll wait until she leaves for work, slip into our apartment, and make my way to her laptop. If I can access her accounts, I'll find the evidence I need. The thought of finally having something to use against her sends a thrill through me. The hour creeps by, and soon it's time for me to head home. I drive with a sense of purpose, each turn bringing me closer to the moment I've been waiting for. The apartment looms ahead, a place that once felt like a sanctuary now transformed into a battleground. I park and make my way to the building. Taking a deep breath, I step inside, the familiar sense of home filling the air. I hurry to the apartment door, my heart pounding as I fish for my keys. Once inside, I glance around, ensuring everything is just as I left it. The living room feels cold, the remnants of our shared life now a haunting reminder of what was. I head to the office, where Samantha keeps her laptop on the desk, and I sit down, my fingers trembling slightly as I boot it up. I navigate to the login screen and take a moment to gather my thoughts. I enter her usual password, a combination of our anniversary and her birth date. To my surprise, it works. I'm in. The screen lights up, revealing her desktop cluttered with folders and files. I navigate to her social media accounts first, scanning through messages and posts. My heart races with every click, each revelation pulling me deeper into a web of lies. Suddenly, a message catches my eye. It's from the same guy I saw her with in the hotel room, Ryan. My breath hitches as I click on the chat. Hey babe, can't wait to see you tonight. Just think of all the fun we'll have. I grit my teeth, anger boiling inside me. This isn't just a one-time mistake. This is a full-blown affair. I scroll through more messages, each one revealing the depth of their betrayal. I feel a mix of rage and sadness wash over me. Just as I'm about to take screenshots, I hear a key in the lock. My heart drops, and I quickly shut the laptop, scrambling to my feet. I glance around the apartment for a place to hide, but there's nowhere to go. The door swings open, and there she stands, Samantha, her expression shifting from surprise to confusion. "Jack, what are you doing here?" she asks, her voice laced with panic. "I thought I'd surprise you," I say, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach my eyes. "I missed you." She narrows her eyes, clearly suspicious. "You weren't supposed to be home." "Neither were you," I retort, crossing my arms. The tension in the air crackles like static electricity. "What do you mean?" she asks, a hint of defensiveness creeping into her tone. I step closer, my heart racing as I confront her. I saw the messages, Samantha. I know about Ryan." Her face pales, and for a moment, I can see the panic in her eyes. "Jack, wait. It's not what you think," she pleads, backing away slightly. "Not what I think." I scoff, incredulity flooding my veins. "You're caught in the act, and you still want to play the victim." "Please, just let me explain," she cries, desperation etched on her face. "I don't want to hear your excuses. You made your choice, and now you'll face the consequences," I say, my voice steady despite the chaos brewing within me. I turn to leave, but she grabs my arm, pulling me back. "Jack, don't. We can work through this. I love you." The words feel hollow, and I shake my head, wrenching my arm free. "You lost the right to say that the moment you decided to betray me." As I walk out, I can hear her sobbing behind me, but I don't look back. The moment I step out of the apartment, I feel a sense of relief mixed with anger. I'm committed to my plan, and now she's aware that I'm on to her. Once outside, I take a deep breath, the cool air hitting my face. I can't let her see how much this hurts. I'm determined to make her pay, and I won't stop until I've unraveled the entire web of deceit she's woven around us. Michael is waiting for me at the cafe, and as I recount the confrontation, I feel a sense of clarity. The plan is taking shape, and I'm ready to execute it. Samantha may think she can talk her way out of this, but I'm no longer the naive husband who trusted her blindly. I'm the storm she didn't see coming, and soon enough, she'll understand the price of betrayal. The game has changed, and I'm ready to take her down. The days drag on, each one a mix of strategy and simmering rage. I've gathered enough evidence against Samantha to dismantle her carefully curated life piece by piece. With Michael's help, we've compiled a file filled with damning messages, photos, and recordings that prove her betrayal beyond a doubt. Tonight, I'm ready to confront her one last time. I want her to know the depths of my anger, to feel every ounce of betrayal that has coursed through my veins since I discovered her infidelity. This isn't just about the divorce anymore. It's about revenge. The apartment feels different as I prepare for the confrontation. I've set up a meeting at a local bar where we used to celebrate milestones. I want her to relive the memories that have now turned bitter. The thought of it sends a rush of adrenaline through me. I arrive first, claiming a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance. The ambience is lively, but I feel a strange calmness settle over me. I order a whiskey, the amber liquid offering a momentary solace as I wait for her to arrive. When Samantha walks in, her eyes scan the room until they find me. I can see the mix of confusion and dread etched on her face. She approaches, and I motion for her to sit. "Jack," she begins, but I cut her off. "No pleasantries, Samantha. We both know why we're here," I say, my voice cold. "I didn't think you'd come," she replies, her voice shaky. "Of course I would. I have a lot to say." I lean back, studying her as she fidgets under my gaze. "You really thought you could betray me and get away with it?" Her eyes dart around the bar, searching for an escape. "Jack, I'd save it." I interrupt, slamming my glass down on the table. "I've seen the messages. I know about Ryan. You think I just sit back and let you destroy our lives? Panic flickers in her eyes. Please, let's talk about this. I made a mistake. We can fix this. I scoff, shaking my head. Fix what? Your deceit. You think I can just pretend it never happened? I pull out the file I've prepared, laying it on the table between us. This is what you've done to us, Samantha. This is the proof of your betrayal. She glances down, her face going pale as she sees the evidence laid out before her. You can't do this, Jack. It's not fair. Not fair. I echo, incredulity washing over me. You think it's fair to cheat on your husband? To lie and deceive? She leans in, desperation clawing at her voice. I was lonely. You were always working and I wanted someone to be there for me. Your excuse is pathetic, I snap, the anger boiling over. You made your choice and now you'll pay the price. Her expression shifts, defiance creeping into her eyes. What do you think you're going to do? Ruin me? You're the one who will end up looking like a fool. I lean forward, locking eyes with her. I'm already ruining you, Samantha. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you've done. You'll be the laughingstock of our friends, and you'll lose everything you hold dear. She scoffs, trying to mask her fear. You think people will believe you over me? I have friends who will stand by me. Not after they see this. I pull out my phone, scrolling to a video I recorded of her and Ryan. The audio crystal clear. This is just the beginning. Her eyes widen as she realizes the implications. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I hiss. You wanted to play with fire. Now you're gonna get burned. The tension in the air thickens as I watch her realize the gravity of the situation. I can see her calculating, desperately trying to formulate a plan. But I won't give her the chance. I lean back, a sense of satisfaction washing over me. I've already contacted a lawyer. The divorce papers are ready, and I'll be taking everything. You'll be left with nothing but the consequences of your actions. What about the good times we had? She pleads, her voice trembling. Good times? They were all lies, I retort, my anger surging. I can't believe I trusted you, and now you want me to feel sympathy for you. I stand up, tossing a few bills on the table. Enjoy your last few moments of freedom, Samantha. I'm going to make sure you regret ever crossing me. I turn to leave, but her voice stops me. You'll regret this too, Jack. You think this will break me? I'll rise from the ashes. I turn back, fury igniting. You think you're strong. You're nothing but a coward hiding behind your lies. I'll make sure everyone knows the truth, and you'll be left alone, with nothing but your guilt to keep you company. As I exit the bar, I feel a sense of release. The weight of the world lifts off my shoulders, but I know this is just the beginning. I have the upper hand now, and I won't stop until she feels the full brunt of her betrayal. The next few days are a whirlwind of activity. I finalize the divorce, ensuring the papers are served and every detail is executed flawlessly. I share the video with our closest friends, watching as their reactions shift from disbelief to shock, then horror. The looks on their faces when they see Samantha's betrayal unfold are priceless. The news spreads like wildfire, and soon, Samantha is left reeling. Friends she thought she could rely on turn their backs, and the life she built begins to crumble. I see her at the grocery store, her eyes hollow, a shell of the woman I once knew. Jack, she calls, desperation in her voice, but I don't look back. I've won, and as much as it pains me to admit it, I feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. The betrayal cuts deep, but now she knows what it feels like to lose everything. As the months pass, the finalization of the divorce feels like a distant memory. I move on, building a new life, one without the shadows of her deceit hanging over me. The anger fades, replaced by a sense of freedom I never thought I'd reclaim. One evening, as I sit in my new apartment, I receive a message from Michael. Hey man, just checking in. How are you holding up? I smile, responding with a simple I'm good. Just living life again. The chapter of my life that revolved around Samantha is closed, and while the scars of betrayal remain, I'm ready to embrace the future. I've learned that betrayal can shape you, but it doesn't have to define you. In the end, I didn't just take revenge. I found my strength in the ashes of deceit. And for Samantha, the girl who once held my heart, I hope she finds her way too, though I doubt it'll ever be with the same ease she once had. As for me, I've finally learned to trust again, but now it's only in myself. Now start next story. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The clock ticks down the minutes as I sit alone in our living room, the theater program lying abandoned on the coffee table. The anticipation of an evening filled with drama and laughter hangs heavy in the air, but instead, I find myself staring at the muted glow of the television, where a rerun of some forgettable sitcom plays to an audience of one. My wife, Sarah, had promised she'd be ready by 6, but when the hour arrived, I found her wrapped in a blanket, eyes heavy with fatigue. "I just don't feel well," she murmurs, her voice barely above a whisper. I glance at her, the vibrant energy she usually exudes dimmed to a flicker. Part of me wants to argue, to insist that we go anyway, but the other part, the one that wants to be a good husband, respects her wishes. "Okay, let's just rest then," I say, forcing a smile that feels strained. The disappointment sits like a stone in my stomach. With a resigned sigh, I decide to make the best of it. Maybe I can catch the show's second half later. They often run late. I pull on my jacket and step outside, letting the cool evening air wash over me. As I make my way to the theater, I think about Sarah, wishing I could shake off the feeling that something is off. But as I settle into my seat among the crowd, the stage lights dimming, the feeling only intensifies. The show begins, but it quickly turns into a series of dull monologues and predictable punchlines. I glance at my watch, 20 minutes in, and I'm already bored. I can't shake the nagging worry about Sarah, and the laughter around me feels distant and hollow. By intermission, I decide to cut my losses. I stand, slipping out of the theater, my mind racing back to home. When I step inside, the silence is deafening. The faint smell of her favorite candle lingers in the air, but the house feels empty. "Sarah?" I call out, hoping for a response that doesn't come. I pull out my phone to check for messages, but it's silent, her phone unavailable. Feeling a pang of worry, I decide to head next door. The old man, Mr. Henderson, is the neighborhood gossip, his ears always perked for the slightest hint of drama. If anyone knows where Sarah is, it's him. I knock on his door, the sound echoing through the stillness of the evening. After a moment, the door creaks open, and Mr. Henderson appears, his eyes glimmering with curiosity. "Evening, Jake. What brings you here?" "I'm looking for Sarah. She's not feeling well, and I thought she might have come to see you." My voice trails off as I peer into his dimly lit living room. "Ah, no, haven't seen her," he replies, but his gaze flickers past me, and I sense a tension in his demeanor. Just as I turn to leave, something catches my eye. I see movement behind him, a flash of skin, a cascade of wet hair. My heart drops as a figure steps into view. It's Sarah, wrapped in nothing but a towel, glistening droplets of water clinging to her skin like stolen secrets. My chest tightens. "What the hell?" I stammer, shock coursing through me like ice. Sarah's eyes widen, and the color drains from her face. "Jake, I didn't expect you back so soon." Her voice is a thin veneer of surprise, but I see the panic lurking just beneath the surface. Mr. Henderson's expression morphs from curiosity to horror, as if he stumbled upon a crime scene. I take a step back, feeling my world tilt. All the moments of doubt I had brushed aside flood back, the whispers of my intuition now screaming in clarity. "You weren't feeling well, huh?" I managed to choke out, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "And this is how you spend your time, Jake?" She starts, but I can't bear to hear her excuses. The betrayal cuts deep, and a dark, furious tide rises within me. I turn on my heel, storming out of the house, every heartbeat a drumbeat of anger and confusion. I can't think clearly, my mind racing as I shove my hands into my pockets. The night air feels charged with electricity, the streetlights casting long shadows as I walk away from everything I thought I knew. A part of me is shattered. The other part burns with a desire for revenge. As I reach the edge of our street, the decision crystallizes within me. I will ruin her life, just as she has ruined mine. The thought is liberating, igniting a fire I didn't know I had. I don't know how yet, but I will make sure she feels the weight of her betrayal. For now, though, I walk home alone, the familiar streets now foreign, and the life we built together feels like a distant memory, slowly slipping through my fingers like sand. In the silence of my home, I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what comes next. I am done being the good husband. It's time to take back control. The next morning dawns, but the sun feels like a cruel joke. I wake up with a heavy head and a knot in my stomach, the memory of last night's revelation replaying like a broken record. Sarah's naked form emerging from Mr. Henderson's bathroom haunts me. I sit on the edge of our bed, fingers gripping the sheets, my thoughts spiraling into a dark abyss. I hear the front door click open, and my heart races. I haven't spoken to Sarah since I stormed out, and the anticipation of her return makes my skin crawl. She steps inside, looking disheveled, her hair damp and her eyes red-rimmed. The moment she sees me, her face falls. "Jake, we need to talk," she says, her voice steady yet laced with desperation. "Talk," I snarl, rising to my feet. "You think I want to hear any more of your excuses? Just listen to me, please." She takes a tentative step forward, and I flinch, a mix of anger and heartbreak coursing through me. "Why should I? You were just having a nice little shower with our neighbor while I was at the theater." I pace the room, my fists clenching and unclenching, struggling to contain the whirlwind of emotions. "What else am I supposed to think? It's not what it looks like," she insists, her voice rising. "Mr. Henderson was just helping me with a project, and save it. You think I'm stupid?" I cut her off, my voice sharp. "I saw you, Sarah. Don't lie to me." Before she can respond, the doorbell rings, shattering the tension like glass. I shoot her a glare and storm past her, swinging the door open. On the other side stands Alex, my best friend and someone who knows all the ins and outs of my life. "Hey man, thought I'd check in on you," Alex says, his cheerful demeanor fading as he notices the storm brewing behind my eyes. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, peachy," I mutter, stepping aside to let him in. "Just had an interesting night." "Interesting how?" He raises an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. "Sarah had a bit of a meltdown. I caught her with Mr. Henderson." I spit out, the words tumbling from my mouth like lead. "What? Are you serious?" Alex's face pales. "What the hell, man?" "Yeah, well, it's all true. She claims they were just working on some project. But I don't buy it." I cross my arms, pacing again as I feel Alex's eyes burning into me. "Dude, that's messed up. Have you talked to her?" He glances over at Sarah, who stands quietly by the kitchen entrance, her eyes downcast. "Yeah, we talked. Not that it mattered," I reply bitterly. "She thinks I'm just going to forgive her. Like this isn't the biggest betrayal of my life." Alex shoots me a sympathetic look, his expression softening. "You need to confront this. You can't just let it fester. Talk to her, get it all out." "I don't even know if I want to," I reply, my voice heavy with frustration. "She shattered everything we built." "I get that, but walking away from this won't help you heal," he counters. "You deserve answers. You can't let her just waltz back in like nothing happened." I look at Sarah, who's standing there, her face pale and drawn. She looks vulnerable, but it doesn't change the betrayal I feel. "You think she deserves that, Alex?" I snap. "I'm not saying she deserves a free pass, but you owe it to yourself to hear her side." Alex insists, crossing his arms. "You need to confront this together, even if it's ugly." I take a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. "Fine. But I swear, if she tries to play the victim, I won't hold back." "Good. Let's hear what she has to say." Alex nods, leaning against the wall. "Sarah," I say, my tone icy, "what really happened last night?" She takes a shaky breath, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Jake, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was overwhelmed with work, and I needed someone to talk to. Mr. Henderson was just there. Just there. You think that makes it any better?" I shoot back, anger bubbling over. "I know it looks bad, But I swear, nothing happened. I was stressed and I wanted to vent. Her voice trembles, and for a moment, I see the cracks in her facade. Do you really expect me to believe that? You were in his house in the shower. I can't help but raise my voice, frustration spilling over. Jake, please, she pleads, stepping closer. I made a mistake, but it wasn't what you think. Promise. Stop promising. That means nothing now, I growl, feeling the walls closing in. Let's take a step back. Alex interjects, trying to defuse the situation. Jake, listen. Sarah, what do you want? I want my husband back. She replies, her voice breaking. I want us to work through this. I love you, Jake. The words hang in the air, heavy and suffocating. My heart aches at her admission, but I also feel the bitter sting of betrayal. Can love really fix this? I can't just forget what I saw, I say, my voice steadier now. Trust is broken, Sarah. It's not that simple. We can rebuild it. I'll do anything. She promises, desperation leaking into her voice. I need you to believe me. I don't know if I can. I admit, pain lacing my words. Just then, the door swings open again, and in walks Mrs. Henderson, Mr. Henderson's wife, with a plate of cookies. Her presence instantly shifts the atmosphere. I thought I heard voices. How's everyone doing? I exchange glances with Sarah, the tension palpable. I feel a sense of urgency in the air, the need to figure things out before more people get dragged into this mess. Just dealing with a bit of a situation, I reply, forcing a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Is everything okay, dear? Mrs. Henderson asks, looking between us with concern. Yeah, everything is fine, Sarah interjects, her tone too bright. But I know that's a lie. The weight of our conversation hangs over us like a storm cloud, and I can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. As Mrs. Henderson chatters on about her garden, I feel the anger simmering beneath the surface, and my resolve hardens. I won't let this go unanswered. The taste of revenge lingers on my tongue, and as Sarah meets my gaze, I realize that I have a choice to make. This isn't just about healing. It's about reclaiming what's mine and ensuring that she feels the consequences of her actions. I take a deep breath, preparing for the inevitable confrontation, knowing that this is just the beginning of a dark journey. The intrigue of betrayal twists in my gut, and I sense that the storm within me is far from over. The days blur together in a haze of tension and unspoken words. Sarah and I coexist like strangers in our own home, the air thick with unresolved emotions. The once warm glow of our living room now feels cold and uninviting. I try to immerse myself in work, but the nagging thoughts about Sarah and Mr. Henderson keep invading my mind like unwelcome guests. It's Friday evening, and the world outside seems to move on without us. As I plop down on the couch, flicking through the channels, I hear a soft knock on the door. It's Alex again, his familiar presence a welcome distraction. Hey man, he greets, stepping inside and taking a seat across from me. How's it going? Like a train wreck, I reply, leaning back and rubbing my temples. It's a constant reminder of what I lost. Have you talked to Sarah any more about everything? He studies me, his eyes searching for signs of progress. Not really. It's like we're playing house, pretending everything's okay while the elephant in the room is about to stomp on us. I say, frustration spilling out. Maybe you should consider a different approach, he suggests, leaning forward. Get her to open up more. There's got to be more to this story. Yeah, like what? How she was almost naked in another man's house. I scoff, anger flaring up. I'm not exactly in the mood for heart-to-hearts. Alex sighs, shaking his head. I know it's tough, but maybe that's what she needs. She's probably scared. A little compassion could go a long way. I stare at him, the weight of his words sinking in. Compassion, after what she did, feels like a slap in the face. Just hear me out, he urges. You both need to face the music. Maybe after you talk, you can figure out if there's something worth saving. Maybe, I mutter, but deep down, I know I'm not ready to forgive. Before I can say more, the door swings open again, this time with a burst of energy. It's Sarah, her face flushed and her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Hey guys, I thought we could have a little game night, she announces, trying to inject some cheer into the atmosphere. Game night? I raise an eyebrow, skepticism oozing from my tone. Yeah. Just like old times. It'll be fun, she insists, flashing a hopeful smile. Alex exchanges a glance with me, and I feel the tension crackle in the air. Sure, why not, he says, a hint of encouragement in his voice. Great. Sarah beams, her relief palpable. I'll grab the board games. As she rushes to the closet, I lean toward Alex. What do you think? Is this just her way of sweeping things under the rug? Maybe she's trying to show you she still cares. Give her a chance, he whispers back, his eyes urging me to at least consider it. I watch Sarah pull out a box of Scrabble, her enthusiasm infectious despite my reservations. Come on, Jake. Let's play. I'll crush you like I always do, she taunts playfully. Yeah, we'll see about that, I reply, trying to suppress a smile. The game begins, and as the tiles click together, a thin veneer of normalcy envelopes us. We joke and tease, but the laughter feels hollow, like an echo of what once was. Sarah makes a play, and I glance up at her, noticing the way she lights up when she wins. Part of me longs for that connection, the intimacy we once shared. Not bad, but I'm still ahead. I smirk, trying to keep the mood light, even as my heart feels heavy. Just wait. I'll come back with a vengeance, she retorts, determination in her eyes. But then her expression falters, and she bites her lip, as if remembering our unresolved issues. Alex, sensing the shift, clears his throat. So how's work been treating you, Sarah? Oh, busy as always, she replies, forcing a smile. I'm juggling a few big projects, but nothing I can't handle. I catch her glance darting toward me, her eyes searching for reassurance. I want to give it, but anger simmers beneath the surface. Right? Because that's what you were doing the other night. Too, I say, my voice laced with sarcasm. Jake. Alex scolds, shooting me a warning look. Come on, man. Let's keep it fun. I'm just saying, I mutter, feeling the tension rise again. The game continues, but every playful jab now feels like a potential grenade. The atmosphere shifts, and I sense Sarah's resolve faltering. Just then, the doorbell rings again, and Sarah rushes to answer it, relief flooding her face as she sees our neighbor, Mrs. Henderson. Hi, dear. I brought some brownies, she chirps, entering the living room with a plate of treats. I thought you might want some company. Perfect timing. Sarah replies a bit too enthusiastically. You can join us for game night. Mrs. Henderson nods, settling down with a smile. I love Scrabble. What's the score? She asks, glancing around the table. I can't help but feel an uneasy sense of irony in this moment. Here we are, playing games while beneath the surface, everything is crumbling. Jake is in the lead, Sarah states, shooting me a glance that seems to say, be nice. Let's change that. Mrs. Henderson chimes in, her eyes twinkling. As the game resumes, I feel a wave of frustration wash over me. The facade of happiness only amplifies my internal conflict. I catch Sarah's gaze, and for a fleeting moment, I see the girl I fell in love with, the one who used to fill the room with laughter, not secrets. The game drags on, and as the night deepens, the playful banter shifts into a battle of wits. I feel the weight of my resentment collide with my longing for connection. Just as I'm about to throw out a cutting remark, Sarah reaches for a tile, her fingers trembling. Hey, I just want you to know I'm sorry for what happened. She suddenly blurts out, her voice wavering. I know I messed up, and I'll do anything to fix this. Mrs. Henderson glances between us, sensing the tension. Oh, sweetie, it's tough when relationships hit bumps. Communication is key, she advises, her voice warm and motherly. Is it too late for us? Sarah asks, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Maybe, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. You have to earn back my trust, Sarah. Then I'll fight for it. She insists, determination flaring in her eyes. You're my husband, and I want to prove I can be better. Prove it, I reply, my voice hardening. But I'm not sure I can just jump back into things like nothing happened. Sarah nods, her expression pained but resolute. I understand. Just don't give up on us yet. Mrs. Henderson interrupts, offering a slice of brownie to lighten the mood. Here, try this. It might help with those heavy hearts. I take a piece but feel the weight of the moment. As laughter erupts around us, I know that this is only a temporary reprieve. The storm within me is far from over, and the intrigue of Sarah's betrayal lingers like a shadow over our game night. As the clock ticks into the late hours, I realize that the real battle is just beginning. The stakes are high, and I'm not ready to let go of the anger that fuels my desire for revenge. The stage is set for a confrontation that could change everything, and I can't shake the feeling that the truth is still lurking, waiting to be uncovered. The days slip by like water through my fingers, each one more torturous than the last. Sarah and I continue our charade, navigating a minefield of unresolved tension, lies, and unspoken truths. The game night with Mrs. Henderson only papered over the cracks for a moment. Behind the veneer of normalcy, our relationship feels like it's hanging by a thread. I find myself becoming increasingly restless, the anger simmering just below the surface. Each time I look at Sarah, I'm reminded of the betrayal that shattered our life together. The more we try to pretend everything is okay, the more it feels like we're both actors in a terrible play. One evening, I'm at work, drowning in spreadsheets and emails when Alex calls. "Jake, I've got something for you," he says, his voice low and serious. "What is it?" I ask, my heart racing. "I spoke to Mrs. Henderson," he replies, a hint of urgency in his tone. "I think you need to come home. There's something you should know." I hang up, dread pooling in my stomach. I race home, my mind spinning with possibilities. What could Mrs. Henderson have to say that's so urgent? I burst through the door, finding Sarah sitting at the kitchen table, her face drawn. "Jake, you're home early," she says, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Where's Alex?" I ask, feeling a sense of foreboding wash over me. "He went out to get some coffee." "Why?" Her voice trembles slightly, and I catch the flicker of anxiety in her gaze. "I just spoke with him. He said he has something important to tell me," I reply, crossing my arms defensively. A moment of silence stretches between us, thick with unspoken tension. Sarah fidgets, her eyes darting away. Maybe it's not important. We can talk about us instead." "Talk about us? We've been doing nothing but that." I shoot back, my patience fraying. "I want to know what Alex found out." Just then, the door swings open, and Alex steps in, a look of urgency etched on his face. "Hey Jake," he says, his voice low. "I need to talk to you privately." I nod and step into the living room, leaving Sarah behind. "What's going on?" "I got a tip about Sarah," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not sure how to say this, but I think there's more to the story than you know." "What do you mean?" I ask, my pulse quickening. "Mrs. Henderson told me she's seen Sarah meeting with another man a few times. She thought it was just a friend at first, but now," his voice trails off, the implication hanging heavy in the air. No way. That can't be true." My heart races, disbelief washing over me. "She told me it was nothing." "Jake, I'm serious. You need to confront her," he insists. "I wouldn't bring this up if I didn't think it was important." A wave of anger and betrayal crashes over me, and I feel my hands clench into fists. I can't believe this. I thought we were starting to work through things. "Clearly, something is off," Alex says, his tone grave. "You deserve to know the truth." I take a deep breath, feeling my resolve harden. "You're right. I can't let this go. It's time to get to the bottom of this." With a determined stride, I march back into the kitchen where Sarah sits, her demeanor already shifting as she sees my expression. "What's wrong?" she asks, her voice thick with feigned innocence. "Sarah, I need you to be honest with me," I say, keeping my tone steady. "Are you seeing someone else?" Her face pales, and for a split second, I see the mask slip. "What? No. How could you even think that?" She stammers, but the quiver in her voice betrays her. "Alex heard from Mrs. Henderson that you've been meeting someone," I say, cutting through her denial. "You need to tell me the truth." She opens her mouth to respond but then closes it, as if weighing her options. "Jake, please. It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Because I can't keep playing this game anymore. I feel the fury boiling inside me, the need for clarity consuming my thoughts. I don't want to lose you, she finally admits, tears streaming down her cheeks. But I was feeling so alone, and I thought what? That it was okay to find someone else. My voice rises, echoing in the small kitchen. No, I never meant for it to go that far. It was just a friend, someone to talk to. She pleads, her hands trembling. Just a friend. I shake my head in disbelief. I've heard that excuse before. You've shattered my trust, Sarah. You can't expect me to believe you. Jake, please. I need you to listen. She cries, her desperation palpable. I was confused. I didn't want to hurt you, but everything spiraled out of control. Spiraled out of control. I laugh bitterly, feeling the weight of every word. You mean you chose to betray me instead of talking to me? You chose to sneak around? Please, just give me a chance to explain. She begs, her voice cracking. But I can't take it anymore. I feel the anger boiling over, the reality of what I've lost crashing down on me like a tidal wave. You've had enough chances, Sarah. This is beyond saving. Jake, she screams, but I turn away, my heart racing. I know I can't stay here any longer. Maybe it's best if we just end this, I say, the words feeling both heavy and liberating. End this? You don't mean that. She cries, her face crumpling in despair. Maybe I do, I reply, feeling the finality of the moment settling over us. You've chosen betrayal over honesty. I can't forgive that. Just then, the door swings open, and Alex steps back in, sensing the tension. What's happening? He asks, his voice uncertain. Nothing. Just nothing, I say, feeling the anger drain from me, replaced by a hollow emptiness. Jake, don't do this. Sarah pleads, desperation clawing at her voice. We can work through it. I love you. Love isn't supposed to feel like this, I retort, shaking my head. I can't live with the constant fear of betrayal. With that, I walk out the door, leaving behind the shattered remnants of what was once a beautiful life. The weight of Sarah's voice calling.